Hello, we've got all kinds of noises going on in the back because Brady can't behave. We're gonna talk about Ellis Island today, the short read. Got a video, kind of like a 3D tour of Ellis Island, the way it used to be back in the day. And then I will hand out homework questions to them. You guys can look under your classwork page and it will have all that information and all the links and everything you need, there. Yes?
Are we gonna be able to read it?
You what?
Are we gonna be able to read it?
Would you like to read? I mean, if somebody would like to read, I'd let you read. All right, you wanna read?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Ellis Island was the largest immigration station in the United States from 1892 to 1924. Over 12 million immigrants came through the Ellis Island during this period. The island was nicknamed the Island of Hope for many immigrants coming to America to find a better life.
Okay, so Ellis Island was the largest immigration station in the United States from 1892 to 1924. Over 12 million immigrants come through Ellis Island. It was nicknamed the Island of Hope. And because many immigrants came to America looking for a better life. That's why it was referred to as the Island of Hope. Yes, Braxton. Yes, go ahead.
When did Ellis Island open? Ellis Island operated from 1892 to 1954. The federal government wanted to take control of immigration so it could make sure that the immigrants didn't have diseases and were able to support themselves once they arrived in the country.
Okay, so back before that, people would just come to the country and could just come in. Well, we started getting a pretty good influx of people coming in. And the government stepped in and wanted to make sure that they were not coming in with diseases. Remember we talked before about there was not a lot of government programs set up to assist people in these days. So if you didn't have work lined up or relatives that you could possibly live with until you got settled and got a job and all, there was no way for you to take care of yourself. So they kind of made sure, so the government kind of took over the control of immigration at that point in time so that they could basically vet the people to make sure that the people coming in was healthy, able to take care of themselves and things of that nature. Okay?
And what if they weren't?
Then they got sent back.
That one would not have been fun.
The first immigrant to arrive was 15-year-old Annie Moore from Ireland. Annie had come to America with her two younger brothers to reunite with their parents who were already in the country. Today there is a statue of Annie.
Yeah, if you ever go to Ellis Island, you actually see the statue of Annie Moore. She was the first immigrant to arrive once they opened up Ellis Island as a port for immigrants to come through. Annie Moore was the first one. Now, 15 years old, we're thinking, wow, she must have been traveling with parents. It's purely possible she was all by herself. Okay? Because back in these days, back in the late 1800s, early 1800s, a 15-year-old girl was a woman. A lot of times they were young women like that, or young girls. What we consider a young girl today was married by the time she was 15 back in those days. Of course, life expectancy was not, 104 years old either. But I guarantee Annie Moore didn't grow up playing on the playground and swinging. She probably, by the time she was old enough to do chores, she was working and doing stuff. I mean, people in these days were more mature. At 15, she was probably a very mature young lady because times dictated she had to be. Okay, you guys don't have to be grown up at 11 because times does not dictate that you have to be. You can be a kid. Okay, so that's difference in times. Yes.
Can I read?
Yep.
How many people came through Ellis Island? Over 12 million people were processed through Ellis Island between 1892 and 1924. After 1924, the inspections were done before people got on an aid, but the inspectors on Ellis Island just shut their papers. Around 2.3 million people came through Ellis Island between 1924 and 1954.
So in a 30-year period, you got 2.3 million people came through.
It's pretty big
Um,
for that.
Over 12 million people were processed on the island between 1892 and 1924. That's a lot of people coming through. And after 1924, they got that inspections down. They were done before the people actually got on the boat, okay? And they were inspected before they got there. That's art class downstairs. There's just somebody being silly down there.
I wonder who.
All right, building the island. Charlotte?
Ellis Island started out as a small island of only around 3.3 acres. Over time, the island was expanded using land. By 1906, the island had grown to 27.5 acres.
Yeah, so it grew from naturally it was about a 3.3 acre island. But man added to it and actually built it up to the point that it was 27.5 acres, okay? And where they got a lot of the dirt to build that up, New York
When they
was,
dug- when
yeah,
they
the
dug the
subway.
subways, when they dug the
were-
subways.
Yeah,
They
you
were
saw the
digging
site
the subways, so they had to do something with the dirt. There it is.
They built
Okay,
them.
so, yeah, that's pretty cool. If you ever go out to the Outer Banks and you're driving on some of the very two-lane narrow roads out there, you've got canals on either side of the road a lot of times. The canals were dug out and that dirt was used to build the roads. Yeah. Then-
At its peak, the island was crowded and a busy place. In many ways, it was its own city. It had its own power station, a hospital, laundry facilities, and a cafeteria.
Okay, so at its peak, it was self-sufficient, okay? Crowded, busy, had its own power station, had a hospital, had laundry facilities, had a cafeteria, had a lot of good stuff. And it was used for a lot of things, okay? Spears.
Alright, the scariest part for newcomers to the island was the inspection. All immigrants had to pass a medical inspection to make sure they weren't sick. Then they were interviewed by inspectors who would determine if they could support themselves in America. They also had to prove they had some money and, after 1917, that they could read. The
Okay.
people that passed all the tests were usually done with the inspections in 3 to 5 hours. However, those that couldn't pass were sent home. Sometimes children were separated from their parents, or one parent was sent home. For this reason, the island also had the nickname Island of Tears.
Yeah, it has a lot of nicknames. But yeah, you can imagine, you're showing up to a country, you may or may not speak English, okay? If you're immigrating from Germany, there's a good chance that you don't speak English, but the guy that is conducting all the tests and the inspection probably doesn't speak German. So he's speaking English, okay? But they have to pass the medical exam, a pretty in-depth medical exam. They
It's
have
not,
to.
it's not just like, are you feeling it?
No, it's not, are you,
They will stick a swab.
Are you-
it's not, they're
feeling
not
it?
taking your temperature and asking how you feel
Are you
today.
feeling cruddy?
Okay, they're doing a pretty serious inspection or medical exam. They also, again, you have to prove that you can support yourself. You know, if you've got a bad back and you're all bent over and you're crippled,
Not really
and they
good.
don't think you can support yourself, they send you home. They send you back where you came from.
And they'll probably
Okay.
die on the way back.
Okay? And then after 1924, or 1917, excuse me, you have to be able to read and write. Otherwise, they won't let you in. So they put some very strenuous tests on there, okay? To make sure that you can support yourself.
Did you sneak in?
We're back again. Well, I'm sure people did sneak in. I'm sure you had people sneaking in.
Or if they got caught,
You
they'd
know,
be killed.
but if they got caught, no, if they got caught, they just got sent back. But yeah, I'm sure you had people sneak in. Sure you did. Catherine?
Can I read?
Yes.
Today, Ellis Island is part of the National Park Service together with the Statue of Liberty. Tourists can visit Ellis Island where the main building is now an immigration museum.
Okay. So it's now, it belongs to the National Park Service. They took it over. And turned it basically into a museum so people can actually go visit it and kind of see what it was like back in the day. Okay? Now, it has several names in history, including Gull Island, Oyster Island, and Giblet Island. It was called Giblet Island because parrots once were hung on the island in 1760s. Okay, they caught them, they would hang them there.
Oh, God.
Immigration to the United States slowed down after the National Origin Act of 1924.
What's the origin?
The island served as a fort during the War of 1812 and an ammunition supply depot during the Civil War.
That's pretty.
Okay? The island is owned by the federal government and is considered part of both New York and New Jersey. Okay? And Ellis Island's busiest year was 1907 when over 1 million immigrants passed through. The busiest day was April 17th, 1907 when 11,747 people were processed. That's a lot. Now, this thing starts off, the Indians refer to it as Gull Island, or the Native Americans now, because it was worthless. It was basically just a big mud whole thing, okay? It was worthless. Different people owned it at various times, okay? And would pay nothing for it, almost. And the guy, last name Ellis, owned it. He actually tried to give it to the state of New York, and the state turned it down. They didn't want it. And then the United States government wanted to put a post on it, a fort, so New York bought it, understand this, tried to give it to them, they wouldn't take it. So then New York State buys it for $10,000 on the same day that the federal government comes in and gives New York $10,000 and takes it over. And then they build a fort. And at one point in time, there was a massive fire because the fort was built out of wood.
Oh.
And there was
Oh,
a
look at
massive
that.
fire, and it pretty much
Burn
burned the entire place down. There was an explosion that got it started. They don't know if it was like an enemy attack or if it was just something went awry. They're not 100% sure what caused it. So it's got a pretty good little history to it. It really does. Okay. All right, we're going to watch the video. You will find your link again on the classwork page. Thank you.